Welcome to this week's episode of Courageous Leaders Changing the World. Super excited for this week's guest, Belinda Rygier.
Like a tiger.
Like a tiger.
That's
I almost said like, welcome to Chasing Gains Radio, because we're just talking about my original podcast. In my mind, I'm like, wait a minute, that's like long time ago version of me. So the name of the podcast is Courageous Leaders Changing the World.
Yes.
What's the time in your life that you've had to summon more courage than any other time?
Wow, straight into it. That's fantastic.
That's the only question that we ask that's prepared.
Great. So you know that I don't know if you know that I went on The Bachelor.
Yep.
But walking up the red carpet, you are so unprepared for that because they just basically throw you in and you just get told what to do. So I'm wearing this wedding dress, getting out of a limo, walking up a red carpet in really high stilettos on like bricks. And I wobbled and did a little funny trip. And I looked to the left and there's 30, probably plus people watching my first interaction with Maddie J, filming, producers, directors, all of this. And you could see in my face if you watch back, I'm like a deer in headlights. I'm like, hi, Maddie, I'm Belinda. But I summoned a lot of courage for that. But if we're looking at more of a deeper meaningful or just like a time in my life, essentially, which one? Any. That was definitely one. And dealing with heartbreak. Another one was the constant rejection. I was single for 10 years and constantly having to pick yourself up and find that resilience and to keep going forward, even though you had already been rejected multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
How does one kind of come back from that then?
It's my Nutella theory.
Nutella theory. Sounds juicy.
Yeah. So I'll ask you, Cody, how many people do you think on the planet, on a percentage base, love Nutella?
Oh, as a percentage base? Oh, probably pretty low. It's only kind of, first world countries that have it.
Yes.
I'm assuming. And I think it was like originally created in Italy or something. So I'm thinking maybe 0.1% or something.
Okay, so you're very logical in that. Most people say 90%, 100%. People love Nutella. But if you take into account what you've just considered, plus things like people who don't support palm oil industries, people who are allergic to nuts, people who don't eat sugar, people just like Vegemite over sweet stuff, 4.5% of people love Nutella on the planet. But if you go into the shops, how many shelves are there? 5. And then there's rip-off versions, like replica versions of it. But does it ever change its flavour? No. Nutella sits on the shelves. It doesn't say, oh, we better make a savoury version or we better stop using real nuts because people are allergic. It just sits on the shelves. It sells like hotcakes and it's delicious and sweet, loved by many and not by all. And that is perfectly okay. And once I realised that I'm not for everybody, it's nothing to do with me. It's a compatibility thing. Not everybody aligns with my values. Not everybody likes my laugh or my sense of humour and vice versa. I'm not going to like everybody on the planet. And once I became comfortable in knowing that, rejection became a redirection. It was no longer something I feared. It was something it was a blessing for me.
Mm-hmm. How does someone, go past the hurt of that? So like they can kind of get that on a logical level, and I even gave like a logical response. How does someone take those first steps to be able to go back after as an example of like being out of dating for a long, long period of time?
So for being single for a long time, well, I have written a book on this. It's called Breaking Down the Breakup. And it doesn't matter if you've been single a short period of time or a long period of time, that if you've been single for a long period of time, generally speaking, we are healing or we are avoiding. So getting back into dating again takes courage. It does take courage, but it also takes trust. So trusting that you are incredible, and just because somebody says no to you doesn't mean you're not worthy of love. It's just you're not aligned with that person. On a deep, deep level, how do I help them? The first thing in my pillar that I work with people is healing the hurt. And often people think, oh, well, time heals all wounds. I mean, it really doesn't heal all wounds. Time suppresses the wound. It makes it less prominent, but it's in the cells. The body remembers and the mind remembers. And so if you were going on a date and all you're thinking about is all of the people that hurt you, or the cheaters, the liars, the people that you can't trust, and we're going to talk about frequency now, that is what you'll actually attract. You'll attract a cheater. You'll attract somebody who's not trustworthy or is a liar, because that is in your subconscious. And so we have to strip it all back, and we have to first heal those wounds and rewire the thinking, reinstate new beliefs around what it is that you deserve, your self-worth, because the next pillar is actually healing the hurt, the first one, conquering the heart, then self-worth, rediscovering who you are, rewiring your self-beliefs, limiting beliefs that have come from imprint phases from our childhood. For example, I was bullied as a kid. I was beaten up, told I was fat and ugly, fatty boom batty. I was always picked on. And so I had this belief that I was fat and ugly and nobody wanted me. And I actually attracted a man into my life who would tell me that regularly, domestically violent, beat me up, just be really just toxic. And it wasn't until I rewired my thinking and reframed my self-worth that I attracted an incredible man that treats me like a queen.
Mm-hmm. How deep does it go in terms of recognizing that, we call in, a partner based on our wounding?
How deep does it go? How deep is your love? So conscious and the subconscious. And I also work with the three brains, the head, the heart, and the gut instinct. And so if you know that you want to find love, but deep down you believe you're not worthy of it, it's not going to show up for you, the belief is actually what overwrites the thinking, because it drives us. It's our driving force. And if you're putting a 3-year-old behind the wheel, and the 3-year-old is the beliefs of, I'm not worthy, men are not, or women, whoever it is that you're looking for, are never going to love me or choose me, you're allowing this limiting belief to drive your reality. So it gets really deep. But once you understand where those imprint phases actually started from, one of mine is when my parents got divorced. I made it mean that men are unreliable and I am unlovable. And so that became such a decision that I made as a child, that I lived that my entire life until I realized, oh my gosh, this is my 3-year-old. This is driving me in my life, that I had to change all of that. So it is deep, but once you uncover it and, work on ways to rewire it, it's really easy.
Mm-hmm. How much do things like parents separating create people's beliefs and their view on how lovable they are?
Yeah. And do you know what? It really does impact, but it's reversible as well. So I'm a stepmom, and I often think, oh, if I say this or if I do that, it's going to really impact my stepdaughter. But then I also think we have the tools to rework that. But also she's on her own journey as well of growth and learning. So don't fear doing things, because there's so much anxiety. I have to be the perfect parent. I have to say the right thing. I have to do the right thing. But if you just trust that you are doing the right thing and your child is getting what they need, because if my parents didn't separate and I didn't form this belief, because there's two sides of it. There's the racket, which was I'm unlovable and nobody will ever love me. And then there's the strong side of it, the positive side, where I believed that I needed to understand how relationships worked so that I didn't repeat this in my life. And that is why I became a love coach. So even though it seems difficult at the time, or like things need to be perfect. There's no perfection, but it is happening for them in the long term.
Mm. How much do you see that play out in terms of like, you know, what has happened with people's, you know, wounding then plays out in their either adult relationships or in that instance, what they do for work?
Yes. And that's like because I'm a love coach. So that helped me to become that. So it absolutely, it's a ripple effect. It doesn't just impact your relationships, but it impacts your friendships, your jobs. I've worked with many clients where they will say to me, when I was younger, my mum was really sick and I had to, you know, take care, and they became doctors or nurses or things like that. So it really does impact you. Mm.
What are the most common wounds that you see play out with people in relationships?
Abandonment and rejection wounds, fear of not being lovable. So because they didn't get that form of attention and affection in their childhood, which I'm not sure, I'm sure you would be aware of the attachment styles, like avoidant, anxious, secure, and anxious avoidant. I was anxious avoidant because I had a mother who was present physically, but emotionally avoidant. She was avoidant. And my father was not present physically, and he was also emotionally avoidant. And so I developed this need. We're going to get really vulnerable now. Is that okay? Oh, we're going there. So because of that, I needed to be seen. Like I needed the recognition or the validation because I didn't know how to validate myself. So I was constantly looking for the external validation. Like I was a dancer, a singer. I won public speaking competitions. I went on The Bachelor. I did Australian Idol. I did so many things to be seen. And it wasn't until I healed that relationship with my mother that I finally felt seen. And it's something that you can do without actually having the physical parent there. You can heal and find closure within yourself. But I'm blessed to be able to have that with her. My dad's passed, but healing those wounds really impact your attachment style, whether you're a secure attachment or not. And I truly believe that there is not many secure attachments styles. Like I just think we're humans and we make meaning of things, you know. Something as simple as somebody doesn't reply back to you and you can make it mean they don't like me, but they might be in a meeting or something. So we make meaning of things based on those imprint phases.
Yeah, I love that. One of the core teachings of our work is understanding that, you know, most people don't think. Their brain just predicts things, and they're predicting things based on associations that they've made in their childhood.
Yes.
It's like this: love equals this, love equals that. It's like love equals. We had a client in a recent event, and she goes, oh fuck, and she goes, I recognize that I've associated love with beatings, so I got that from my dad, and then I pushed every single partner that I've had to the point that they would then beat me because then I would feel loved.
Yeah.
And, you know, this plays out with every single person based on what that association is. And often one of the deeper levels of work that we can do is where we actually start to do the healing on, you know, what is our association with love, or Belinda love in this instance.
and it's true because, and we as humans only know what we've been taught. And if your parent was beaten by their parents and then their parent and so on and so forth, it's generational. And so like, and I'm very uncomfortable saying this, but I'm going to say this. And I love my mum and she only knew what she knew. And, but there was many times where I would be hit or dragged by my hair or, you know, it said certain things, and I don't want to impact my mum by saying this because I love her and nobody's perfect. But I then attracted a partner into my life who did the same, pushed me down the stairs, beat me up really horrifically, and you're addicted to that chaos because it's when you feel seen is because they're actually paying you attention in that moment, even though it's not positive. So that's the other thing that we will, regardless, because it's a survival mode thing, regardless of whether it's good or bad for us, if it's feels natural, if it feels normal or, experienced, we will continue to attract that over and over again because it's our frequency, it's our learned experiences.
How do we go beyond like that shadowy need for attention to be able to actually create connection in relationships then?
Yeah, that's when we have to go back internally. If you're constantly seeking external validation, you'll never find it, because it's so interesting. I did a post recently where I was talking about something and one person said, "Oh, you're so effing annoying and this is crap." And then one person said, I love your inspiration. Keep going. It's like same post, two different scenarios.
Yeah.
And if you're in that mode of nobody loves me, you'll hyperfixate on that negative one. But if you've done the work and you validate yourself, you'll realize that that's just two people's opinions and they have no impact on me and they're entitled to their opinion. And what was your question just then?
How do we go beyond
Yes.
the shadowy need for attention to be able to access actual connection?
So it's going within. It's validating yourself. It's learning to be self-expressed with no fear of abandonment, rejection, because it comes in all forms, all shapes and sizes, whether it's on Instagram getting a positive and a negative reaction to the same thing, in real life, in relationships. It's no longer looking for that external fix. Because do you know about my addiction that I had? Yeah. Should I share about that?
Go for it.
Is this PG or?
No,
Right.
I'm swearing all the way through. So
Okay, that's good.
I do get some warnings on YouTube. It's like this video is not suitable for kids.
Yeah.
It's like I said
okay.
fuck like 3 times in a row in one of the videos or something. And I'm like, whoops. Oh, well, too bad.
I'm sure there's worse out there that kids are watching at the moment than that. But I had a sex addiction. And I didn't know that I had that until after I healed it, after I did all the inner work. And I was looking back and I thought, holy shit, beep. I was so lost and broken that I thought a man having sex with me meant that I was worthy. And that's the meaning I made of it. And until I realized that, it's not within anyone's power to make me feel worthy, that it's within my own power, that's when I went celibate for nearly 2 years and realized that it's not actually helping me, it's hindering me, it's making me feel shit, sick, disgusting, hurt, used at the end of it. Why am I doing it? So you have to go deep. And my favorite saying is when you point one finger out, you're pointing 3 back. And a lot of women, because I know they felt like that, will say he used me or he lied to me. And they do. Present man excluded, but men will lie to you to get what they want. But it's not even about their lies. It's about your power. It's about choosing you, not succumbing to them in that moment.
How do you choose you when you're going up against all of the associations that you have throughout your life?
Did you want tools or like?
Whatever you feel called to share.
So there are many tools that you can do. And the first thing is forgiveness. Like forgiveness is one of those things where people go, he cheated on me, why should I forgive him? But it's not about forgiving the act. It's about releasing the subconscious pain that you have been holding on to or harboring because of some person's horrible act towards you. And karma, they'll get their karma, I believe. So if you are holding on to pain, you are actually drinking poison and hoping it will hurt them. Because as I believe, dis-ease in the body and the mind causes disease. That's my belief. And I'm living proof of that because when I came off The Bachelor, it was a bit of a segue here. When I came off The Bachelor, I didn't believe that I was worthy again. It was like I went on the show once again to seek validation, to seek approval, and also to get my mum to finally see me And when she didn't come to the airing of it at my house, it made me think, oh, I've done all this work and she still didn't come. So my world crumbled. And then I created my own show because I was once again, it's all about significance and contribution for me. I like to feel significant on the planet and I like to contribute. So Dirty Laundry was born, where I had people come on with their dirty laundry about their relationships, dating, intimacy, and we would coach them. We have myself and 2 other experts, and then Stevie Mack, who was just like, the Kyle of the Jackie O. And then that didn't fly, that didn't soar. I'm doing vibe boosters around that at the moment to try and get it to get, because the messaging is so important. But anyway, another segue. I then, because that didn't soar, I then made it mean again, oh shit, I'm not worthy. Nobody wants to watch my stuff. It's not good enough, which was actually a core problem within myself. And because of that, no matter what I do, that will show up for me. So if I healed that first, the belief of I'm not worthy, nobody wants to see my stuff, if I healed that first, it would soar. So do you know what I'm saying when I say that? So I have to heal that, and then I'm still working on that visibility piece at the moment. And sorry.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's always that journey that we go through, especially like in business, of that relationship to, being seen. It's like starts out with us being seen on social media, going live and stuff like that. And then it starts to expand out to being seen on stage, and then seen to selling on stage, and then seen a higher level of that as like being seen in the media. It's like I'm expanding out the capacity to be able to be seen, but also then see myself as part of it as well.
Yeah.
And it becomes that deeper sense of relationship of like, how do you actually see yourself when you're being seen? What's your current edge with that in terms of being seen?
Well, I'm currently, as we mentioned earlier, doing vibe boosters. This is Alex stuff, actually. Thanks, Alex. So vibe boosters and self-concepting. So I'm rewriting. I used to do it myself through journaling, but I'm upping the ante and doing delusional self-concepting around who I am and how I wish to be seen in the world and what I wish to contribute, and putting music to it and dancing it out. And it's so interesting. When I started doing that, I won a Beam Award. That was 6 weeks after I started doing it. I won a Beam Award. I went through the next round of a singing competition, which I challenged myself because I was told I was a shit singer. I got a $7,500 government grant for my business to help push it forward more, and a few other things that have happened. And it is incredibly true. If you believe it will show up for you. And if I believed for so long I was unworthy and all these people showed up for me, why wouldn't it work in reverse? So if I believe I'm worthy and I believe that people are going to love my work and really take away a lot from what I do, then that will work as well. So
How does one shift their relationship with like their worth then? So like the majority of people are creating conditionality around their worth. It's like, if I do this, then I'm worthy. If I do this, then I'm worthy. How do we shift it so that it becomes an embodied experience of seeing themselves as inherently worthy?
Yeah. And so it's hard to give you all of those steps in this chat, but like in my course, the first thing is you have to, like the forgiveness piece, absolutely. Not for just others, but for yourself. Because how many times do you go to bed at night and you replay all of the mistakes that you did that day, or all of the conversations that went wrong, or all of those things, the awkwardness, you replay these things in bed. And it's about your sense of knowing that we are actually born worthy. The only reason we believe we are not is because of social constructs like the media, our parents' generational trauma. We are lovable. We are absolutely lovable, worthy beings. And just because you don't align with the next person doesn't mean you're not going to align with the person after that. And to base your value on one misalignment, and instead of basing your value on all of the right alignments, it's going to it's like a rock to your balloon. We have to cut the rocks away so that you can soar. And the forgiveness piece, the knowing that you are truly worthy because we're born worthy. But looking at all of the imprint phases that you were born, like you developed, because we're only born with two fears. That's the fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. And everything else is learned. So if we're learning these things, we can unlearn and relearn.
Mm-hmm. When we think about, that deep-seated fear of, being unlovable, what's been your journey with healing that then?
So mine is a very long journey of proof that I am fat, I'm ugly, nobody would love me. So you have to look for proof to the opposite. Rather than focusing on all of the negative, you have to be optimistic but realistic, but looking at the real proof. Like instead of going, I got rejected on The Bachelor, going, I got accepted out of 17,000 people who applied for that. 23 were chosen and I was one. So we have to continue to, and I have found an incredible, loving partner that treats me like a queen. Like looking for the proof to show you that you are worthy. I know that's external and that's one way, but it's a knowing. It's like an inner knowing that regardless of what happens, it's happening for me. Like even if it's negative, like all of the relationships that I had where I walked in on him cheating on me with my best friend, he was domestically violent. Even though at the time it was toxic, it was also my teacher. And it helped me to become an incredible coach and an incredible partner. And yeah.
Yeah. What's the like when people have that underlying, feeling that they're unlovable and they, often pick that up in childhood. What's the piece, I guess, for you that you've been journeying most recently with that then?
So I do mirror work. So a lot of people are uncomfortable with looking at themselves because the first thing that they do is look at all of their wrinkles or flaws. I call them character traits. And do you know that if everybody looked the same on this planet, it'd be one boring, confusing place? And so looking in the mirror and telling myself, you're actually beautiful. You are beautiful. And whilst I'm not for everyone, I'm for me. I choose me. And when you choose you, others will choose you too. And I forgive you for all of the mishaps or mistakes because I don't think there's any mistakes, to be honest. I think there's lessons and redirections. And journaling is definitely one, but the vibe boosters are really incredible for me. But I think it's hard to know because for me, it's a knowing. Like I wake up and I know that I was born. Like, do you know how many million sperms? Did you know that the sperm? It's a misconception of how the sperms don't race to the egg. The egg chooses the sperm. So and reject. She actually beheads all of the other sperm so they stop swimming to impregnate. And if you're chosen in that moment, you are a miracle. You are truly a miracle. And chosen for whatever the purpose might be, you are here for.
So when we come from that place of recognizing that, our first experience of creation is one of choosing,
yes.
How do we go beyond this experience of recognizing we've been in a season of not choosing ourselves to going back to choosing ourselves?
You have to draw a line in the sand. And I actually did that activity myself where I drew a line in the sand and I said all of the things that I believed I was. And then I said I released that. that is made up. That's a story that is not real. And then I rewrote my story. And I read that out. And as I read it out, I stepped over the line and decided that's in the past. Like the past is not happening now. And we live in the past like it's happening to us.
Mm.
So by rewriting your story is by letting it go and choosing a different way forward.
Mm. How important does the nervous system become with that then?
Extremely important. If you're in parasympathetic nervous system, you're going to achieve a lot more. If you're in sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, you're going to continue to be living a life of running from that tiger, which is whatever it might be in your life, that email from the boss or the breakup conversation you have to have with your partner. It plays a huge part, which then also affects us physically. And I was saying before, I didn't think I finished. When I got booted from the show, I actually developed chronic fatigue syndrome because I decided I needed to prove myself, prove. And I was working 90 hours a week, writing my book, doing my show. And I just collapsed and my body just wouldn't go any further. And that's all the underlying belief that I'm not visible. So I became invisible. I couldn't leave my bed. I was sleeping 18 hours a day. I couldn't walk to the toilet. I was crawling. I couldn't feed myself. It was, for 2 years, horrific. And I'm healing. I'm about 90% there. This one little piece of this visibility, nobody likes my stuff, is my belief that I'm reworking at the moment, which is through self-concepting. And I don't want to teach Alex this stuff. My own work, which everyone knows about, mirror work. I also write on the mirror words of affirmation. And every morning in the shower, I listen to meditation type music. And I allow, did you know that water is like Morse code? So I'm not sure who discovered it, but they can send messages to you. So I allow the water to, and because I'm also quite psychic, I have that ability, and I allow the messages to come through to me for the day and allow myself to let go. If I hear a word coming into my head that's negative or a statement, I let it wash with the water into the drain and I let it wash away, and then I reinstate a new word. And I do that with the beach as well. So I stand at the water, and as the first wave comes in and washes my feet, I imagine what I want to let go of, and I say those words, and my love bubble exercise, I'll tell you that as well. I let the water wash it away, and as the next one comes in, it reinstates new beliefs. Mm-hmm. And it's a constant thing. It's like you can't go to the gym one day, lift weights, you'll get a pump, but you won't form a physique that you're desiring. The brain is a muscle as well, so you need to consistently redo it.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the core pieces of the work that we do is recognizing, what are all of those associations that have been created in childhood and how that is, your model of the world, how you see the world, how it's the tinted glasses that you see through. And, the majority of people have some flavor of that, not good enough, unlovable, wound underneath all of that. And, they're looking for more evidence of it rather than actually, well, they only see evidence of it because if they're looking from that place, then that's all they can see, and then they only ever find more evidence of it. And that's one of the things that you were saying before in terms of, being able to look for other evidence of it because, the degree at which you experience and feel your unlovableness is going to determine your capacity to be able to experience life. Because if it's that one-sidedness that you're stuck in, that I'm unlovable, it's like, well, you're probably equally lovable on this other side. And as soon as we can start to experience that both in our body and our mind and actually start to see it, feel it, and then also get it, it's going to allow us to open up to receive love on an even deeper level. In terms of that, what do you think is that primary block that most people have in terms of deepening their current relationship?
The fear, again, of rejection or abandonment. And vulnerability is scary for people because if you're fully authentic and somebody rejects you as your authentic self, which is why we have a lot of people pleasing, then that hurts even deeper. It's like they rejected me at my core. It's easier to be rejected if you're people pleasing, So Yeah. I thought you were going to ask me another question.
Can you speak more to that people pleasing piece then?
I can. So people pleasing comes from a place of, like, once again, this all stems from childhood. If your parents treated you in a way where you needed to seek love and affection from doing something right, if you got reprimanded from doing something wrong, you then decide, oh, okay, to get my mum or dad to love me, I need to do X, Y, Z. Which is why if a child simply spills a drink on the couch and you abuse that child, would you abuse a child, your friend who came in and spilled a drink on the couch? You'd say, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. But yet we tend to instill fear into our children, which then creates this people-pleasing mentality. And so it's really challenging to be with someone like, should I share about Drew, my incredible partner? He had this as a child, and he is now dealing with this people-pleasing element of him, where whenever he asks something, well, like we're going to do something, he says, well, what do you want to do? And I say, babe, I freaking love it when you come to me and you say, I want to do this. He goes, why? But I want to make you happy. And I said, because it's sexy, firstly, when you know what you want, you know how to express it. And then I get to give you what you want, and it's an equal exchange. And sometimes we might not agree, so we have to compromise. But if you're people-pleasing in a relationship, it makes it difficult for someone to connect with you on a deeper level, and it makes it hard for them to be vulnerable and to give you what you want and deserve.
Yeah, I love that. One of the core things, we're running an event over the weekend, and one of the pieces that was definitely evident in the room was like the majority of people, they never live their own life. They live other people's lives because they're too busy people pleasing. They're pleasing their parents, they're pleasing their kids, they're pleasing all the other people, but they're not actually living their life.
Yes.
And that's why, there's an entire book written on, the greatest regret is like a life that was someone else's rather than their own. They interview, that nurse interviewed all of the people to be able to go, well, I'm not actually living my life. So how does someone actually start to shift from that? They recognize, okay, I'm probably people pleasing a little bit. I'm probably putting other people before me. I'm probably choosing them over me, discounting myself and diminishing myself. How do I step out of that?
And so this is, once again, a trauma piece. He dealt with a lot of toxicity in his life, in his relationships, where he suppressed himself to avoid the toxicity. So the first thing is we need to look at that, where it came from. Second thing is to, like, I have said, what things do you love? And he's finally, it's like I can see this incredible man, and how I described him was this man after his ex-relationship was like this strong rock, like just rock all over him. And now with this process, it's like he's broken the rock, and he's like emerging as this incredible person he was before, but releasing all this toxicity from his body. He, like, actually rediscovering yourself. Like, okay, well, I know what I was doing for everybody else, but what do I love? What's my favorite meal? What kind of movies do I like? What's my favorite date? What's my favorite, like, just going back to basics and relearning about yourself and knowing that it's safe to say that that's what you love, because there's someone in the world that will want to give that to you.
Yeah, I see that play out in a lot of, relationships that, especially earlier on, like would have played out for me as well. It's like you end up becoming one human being in the relationship, where it's just like, oh, we do this and then we do this, and then we actually create one being rather than actually being sovereign and individual and interdependent as part of that. The piece of it is like it's natural to want to do what they want, but if you give away too much of yourself, it's like then you've got like nothing left. You've got half a person, and then the other half of the person does the same thing, and it's this mechanism of externalizing what's actually going on internally. And the more that we can actually start to come back to, putting ourselves first, which is a common theme through this, everything starts to open up. And
it really is. Like, people say it's selfish to put yourself first, but it's actually selfless, because the more you can fill up your own cup, the more you can overflow and you can come from a place of love and giving rather than I'm so empty that I can't even communicate properly because I'm really triggered by things because I'm exhausted. So it is really important.
Yeah, one of the other things that we look at with people pleasing is, you know, the nervous system response that people are in, because we've got like a hybrid of how it plays out in terms of it's a sympathetic response stuck in a parasympathetic response, which is like a freeze response, which means that people actually just start to put everyone else before themselves. It creates this mechanism of how they actually start to receive, you know, they receive value, and it definitely plays out a lot for, you know, in a people-pleasing mechanism, but then on the other side, it plays out in the other way of a overachiever, where it's like, right, if I achieve this and then I do that, then I'll get love.
Yes.
How do you see that playing out, especially with the overachiever dynamic and how that plays into relationships?
Well, hi, that's me. Hyper-independent Belinda. I was single for 10 years and didn't know how to ask for help, didn't know how to receive help, consistently doing a lot of things and to be loved, just to be accepted. And, you know, the moment I saw myself, I felt seen. But I've been working with Drew on this as well, where I show up in many elements where I'm like, let me do it. I want to do it. And he just wants to be the masculine. And I've had to lean into the feminine. And there was a point in our relationship where I leant so much into the feminine, I was like lost. I was like, I'm just a floating fairy, you know, which is nothing wrong with that. But I needed more direction. And so we've come back. It's incredible now how we've had to navigate that and how we've come back together even deeper than before. But it really plays a huge role because I was consistently running from that tiger and having to do everything for myself, so much so that I burnt out and still didn't get the recognition I was looking for, which was coming from that people don't see me wound. So it was all this vicious cycle and I'm on this, you know, hamster wheel and you have to break the cycle. You have to do something intense to stop it. And it all, you know, you have to look within when you point the finger out. He did that, she did that. Something back is coming out of you that is creating this hologram or this life in front of you. Like if you go shopping for a red car, what do you see everywhere? Red cars. I should have let you answer that.
I don't see red cars. I see green Porsches.
Okay. So you're shopping for a green Porsche, are you? But which is if you're looking for proof as to, you know, X, Y, Z, that'll show up. So change it to a blue car. Anyway, I went off topic then again.
Yeah. It's all on topic.
Okay, good.
Yeah. How does someone start, like if they recognize that they've been doing that and they recognize that they've been looking for a specific thing in a relationship, but that's been creating all of the same things playing out again and again and again. They get into a relationship, they recognize 6 months in, this is pretty much the same person that I was in a relationship with in last time and I was so glad for that to be over. How does someone break that cycle?
And this is something that I've been really pondering a lot lately because poor Drew is getting pulled into this a lot today. Love you, baby. When we first met, it was the fairy tale. But then something happened. His ex-wife came in and broke that. She caused so much turmoil for me. And so there was a point 6 months in where I thought, fuck, am I repeating patterns here? And how you know the difference is I would bring this to him and he would make a change. I would say, this is happening. At first there was disagreement and because the people pleasing, he didn't want to let me down. So he would get upset and then I would get upset. And then we've learned together how to navigate that and how to heal those parts within us, because I do believe that there are certain things that you cannot heal as a single person, that you need somebody to mirror that back to you. You need a reflection. And I had no idea this was still within me because for 10 years it was dormant until I met him and then poof, it came out.
Mm.
And I'm thinking, am I a bad coach? Like, I can't get this right. Like, I'm teaching people how to have relationships and I can't even get this right. But what changed was the self-awareness, the accountability. Accountability, so important. If you cannot be accountable, you cannot change or transform. And so when he became accountable for these things and I became accountable for my things, most people would leave at that point and walk away before that accountability happened. They would go, oh, F this is too hard. And that's, I think, is a big issue in relationships where 50% of relationships marriages end in divorce. The couples are dropping because people are preferring to be single. There's a huge issue with that because people get into this relationship expecting their partner to be perfect and to show up for them perfectly, but actually we're not perfect ourselves. So how can someone be perfect if we're not? We make mistakes. And so we had to get past this stage of our relationship. And the reason why I stayed is because of the improvement, because of the accountability, because of the changes that were happening both within him and within myself. And if that's not happening, if you're coming to your partner and they're defensive and they're not making changes and they're talking and not acting, that is when you know, okay, because that's the last pillar of my 5 pillars, when to walk away or stay. And so knowing the differences between actions and words will help you to decide what to do in that point of your relationship.
Cool. Thank you. I think this has been a great conversation.
Oh,
That's
good.
the perfect thing to wrap up on.
Okay, great.
What's the best way for people to find you?
My Instagram, or anywhere actually, BelindaLove_official or belindalove.com.au. Check me out anywhere. I'd love to hear from your beautiful followers.
Great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.